You post some stuff, I like it a couple times, I'm going to see more of your stuff, Marty. But if you and I are friends and I haven't engaged with any of your posts in quite a while, I don't know what the heck is going on with you. The only way I know is if I go to your page or your profile and check it out. And so a lot of times people don't do that because all they're doing is they're focusing on the news feed and what's coming in that news feed. So what's key is building up engagement, right? Like, so part of this is that you have to focus on posting and what do you post? So frequency of posting. Let's talk about that real quickly. Frequency of posting, what I recommend is that it's a little bit different on each platform. Instagram, the more you post on there, the better. We say bare minimum of 2 posts per day. Yeah, no. For everyone in online, one of the audience members went, and rightfully so. Like, it sounds like a lot, but we're going to talk about how to build up some stuff and what you can do to make it really easy. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
In Facebook, they tell us for business, don't put it on your personal page. Is Instagram, you need to set up a business page for Instagram?
You should. You don't have to. It's not set up yet like Facebook is. So Facebook, if you put too much business stuff on your personal page, they will blacklist. They literally put you in Facebook jail. I've never experienced it, but I've had friends who have. So you got to be careful. So that's why it's okay to post business stuff on your personal page because you get actually more views that way. But there's a time and place for it. Instagram, what I recommend is that, yes, you should actually have a business page. And you really don't need to separate the two. You can put some personal stuff in your business page. And that's something we're going to talk about too, is that one of the things you should be posting, whether it's on your business page or on your Instagram page or on LinkedIn, make some things a little personal because that shows your human side. But if you you can transfer your personal Instagram over to a business account. And the main reasons you want to do that is that you can have a link to your phone. They can call you directly from Instagram. They can email you directly through there. And then also you get insights or analytics. So you can see what your posts are doing, how it's performing, and it's helpful. Yes, sir.
I just have to get this answered. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go for it.
It's the biggest thing on my mind.
Yeah.
I have a business page for Facebook. Should I post personal stuff on the business page at all?
Yes and no. So it just depends on like how personal you're gonna get. Like I woke up
hiking or something like that.
Yeah. That's a great thing. Kind of put like a little business twist onto it. You'd be like, hey, I went hiking, clear my mind, fantastic day. What do you guys do to clear your mind? Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and so you kind of mix that business with personal. So yeah, I would definitely recommend doing that. Because what you see a lot of times, like what I do is I occasionally will post things of like my kids on my personal page or my business page, and I see a boost of likes. Like most people love kids. I know some people who don't, but that's okay. But most people like it and they comment on it. They're like, oh my God, she's so cute, or this so fun. And that helps because, again, that engagement, when they engage with you, then they're going to see more of your stuff. So putting in some fun stuff, mixing that in, which we'll get into what to post, content types, that is extremely helpful. So to go back, frequency of posts. So Instagram 2 times a day at least. If you can post 4 times a day, 5 times a day, do it. What I've found is actually when you do it the right way, you do it more frequently, you get more followers. You get more followers and your engagement spikes up. So if you stop, if like, for example, like I test this all the time just to kind of see how things work. And that's the type of person I am. But I stopped for a while, like a week, and my followers started to fall down. And then when I posted again, I kept on posting and I posted 5 times a day, my followers shot through the roof.
What do you post?
Sure. So what I like to say is that I have a rule. It's called the 70-30 rule. So 70% of the time you're posting value add information. That's on everything. 70-30. So 70% of the time you're posting value add information that really isn't promotional at all. The other 30% is promotional. Promotional could be a lot of different things. It doesn't have to be directly, hey, if you're looking to sell your house, contact me. It could be, hey, if you want to get more information about this neighborhood, subscribe to my email list. Anything that you essentially want people to take like a strong call to action that'll benefit you in some way, that's more promotional. That's kind of falls in that 30 rule.
So that 70-30 is on your business page on Facebook.
Correct, yeah. You're not going to be doing 70-30 on your personal page on Facebook. On Facebook, if you're going to utilize your Facebook for any personal profile on Facebook for any reason, what you should really be doing is just personal stuff. A lot of personal stuff. You can post on there. Doesn't matter the frequency, like maybe once a day if you want to. That doesn't make a huge difference. But then for every like 5 posts you put on there, you could either share your business page and what you posted there to your personal page, or you could put something directly business related on there. But like 1 out of 5 posts on your personal Facebook page should be business. So the other thing too is that keep in mind when you're creating these posts, no matter where it is, tell a story. That's the key here. Tell a story. Oh, okay. So Darren just dropped in and said, repeat the question for everyone online. There was a question and asked about the personal page, but because we already covered that, if you guys have any questions exactly what I was talking about, just let me know. But I'll make sure I repeat it though this time. So I was talking about stories. Stories are extremely effective in how you present things. So we have a saying, story sell, facts tell. And that's because I could tell you facts right now, give you a bunch of stats, probably won't remember half of them when you leave here. Now, if I tell you a really, really emotional story or just a really good story, you're going to remember that. Even if it's a crappy story, you still probably remember it. Because stories just psychologically, they sit in our head. We remember those things for a lot of different reasons, mostly because we can relate sometimes in those stories. So when you're creating posts, telling a story is extremely effective. So for example, if you were to say, hey, you took a picture, maybe you just closed, a family just closed on a house, you got them at a signing, you could share a little information about their experience. What did they go through? You could say something along those lines like, hey, this is Tom and Jane. They have a young family. They had an existing home they bought as their starter home, but they wanted to, expand because the family's growing. But they were having a really hard time sticking in the area. We had some ups and downs. We weren't able to get a couple places, or we actually put a bid on a place that 3 other people put offers on, but ours were one of the lowest ones. And I actually was able to help them get to the point where we still kept that same offer and was able to close that home. And so now they're extremely happy. They're going to be moving into their new home. Their family's growing, yada, yada, yada. So you get the point, telling that story, because someone like myself might read that and be like, oh, wow, I need to get a bigger home. And I don't want to have to pay top dollar if there's other bids out there. So I'm going to talk to this person and see if they can help me out. So these are things that when you tell these stories, people can relate to. The other part of all of this, and a major part of just your marketing in general, is that you guys have to have a niche. Does anyone have a niche? Like a target market that you go after?
I speak German, but I don't know how to target that word.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how many people in the area would speak German. But that could be an opportunity, though, just to put that out there every so often. So, yeah, tell a little bit about your story. I came from Germany, grew up in Germany, speak fluent German. This is some of the cultures we go through, and you never know who will be like, hey, I love, these German cultures, or I love, German beer, or whatever the case may be. Yeah. That's typically like the first thing people think of, right? But niches are important. So niches can be a lot of different things, but one is like a simple thing can be the neighborhoods, like the area that you cover. Other aspects could be you know, like some people I know like to work with investors. So there's that. There are some people that have veterans. There is one woman that I worked with. She's a client of ours. She was divorced. She recently got divorced about a few years ago. She was married for 20 plus years. They had 3 adult children. They were out of the house, and she had to sell the house that all the kids grew up in. And then she downsized to a condo in South Austin. And so she came to me and she said, you know, I go to this networking group. And at that networking group, there's a divorce attorney that I've been trying to talk to, but it's hard because every time I get up there, there's other realtors and they all say the same thing. And I really can't differentiate myself. I said, all right, tell me a little bit more about your situation. So she told me she's been divorced. She knows how the ins and outs of it. She wants to work with more divorcees. She has a group that she actually runs of divorcees, and it's like a support group. And I said, well, this is perfect. Just focus in on that. And so sure enough, she went up there. We worked on her pitch a little bit. She said it in front of the audience, and that exact attorney that she wanted to get in front of came up to her after the meeting and said, hey, we should sit down and grab some coffee. I think I can refer you some business. So it's simple things like that. When you can really focus in, it's a lot easier from a marketing perspective that people could say, hey, you know what? This is the person I need to go to because they specialize in this, or they work really well with first-time home buyers. They work really well with young families, or, you know, it could be like they work with, you know, families that are moving from out of states. Whatever the case may be, there's a lot of different ways. The best thing I say to identify of what a good niche is for you to focus in on from a marketing perspective is where you are from a life perspective. If you have a growing family, if you have seen adult kids leave the house, if you downsize, if you upsize, you know, whatever the case may be, or perhaps you're just an investor. We have another client. They have a young family. They moved around a bunch of times. They built homes and they sold their dream home before they moved here in New Jersey. And because obviously the market's a lot different out there, they were able to take that money and buy a place here and invest in 6 other places because that was the difference in the value of the market. But they're big and she's big in working with investors because she understands what that looks like and how that works. And so these are things that if you were going through it, you can easily relate. But that's extremely important is to focus on that because that's going to be the center point. Like if we talked about, if we had to like draw almost like a circle, like let's call it a wheel, the center of the wheel, this is your focus point, that's your niche market. And then you're gonna have these different marketing channels that's gonna help this wheel turn around, but it all starts there with your niche. So it's really important that you focus in on that. So we're not gonna spend too much more time on that because that's a whole nother subject. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. Is there a liability aspect to mentioning people in the house?
Yeah, I mean, there's some rules around the Fair Housing Act and some stuff that you have to be careful in what you say.
Or you know, you have to get their permission to.
Yeah, I mean, you have to get the permission. Yeah, I would say, hey, is it all right if I share their story? If you share your story, and you don't have to necessarily give them like full details. You don't have to give out social security numbers or you know, hair follicles or anything along those lines. You guys should be fine. Yeah, exactly.
Post these on Facebook. She absolutely post my picture, do not post my name.
Okay.
So I'll say congratulations. She's super happy. I didn't tag her.
So everyone online, young lady in the crowd asked if there was any liability or any issues with sharing people's stories, as I was referencing. And I said, yes, you got to absolutely ask permission. You can't just go out there and share because then they could do something about it. Another young lady shared how that she asked one of her clients if she could share it online, her picture. And she said, absolutely share my picture, just don't share my name. And so she put something up there really brief, showed the picture, but left out the name. So just be careful, you know, make sure you get permission. Always get permission before you ever post anything of other clients on there. All right. So With that said, there's not a mic for the audience, sorry. Maybe that's something we could work on next time, but yeah. Okay, so just to go back to this, the 70-30 rule, this kind of goes into the content types. So 70-30, again, value add. Great things, and this is again why I mentioned the niche, is that the 70 part is value add. And what you can do is that if you're focusing on, let's say, a certain neighborhood or a certain city, let's say Leander, right? Leander's growing, there's a lot of great stuff coming up there. You could simply take things that are going on in the news, like, for instance, and I just know this because the Chick-fil-A is right by my house, there's a new Chick-fil-A opening up by the Lowe's on 183. And so they just announced it in a community newspaper that it's coming out. It's opening May 15th. This is something you could share with people. It's not a big deal, but again, what you want to think of yourselves is that because you focus on the community and your community building, is that you're almost like a news outlet for your audience. So the more information you can share that pertains to them, especially if you're working with a certain demographic, if you're working with like young families, you know that new schools are coming out or this type of education, or they're investing in the schools because there's stuff in the community newspaper all the time talking about, you know, Leander ISD or Cedar Park ISD and Austin ISD. You could just share that information with them, and they might not see it, but then they see that you shared it, and then they want to read more on that. So it's helpful. You're becoming a resource. Bless you. You're becoming a resource, and that's what you want to be looked at, because when they're engaging or they look or they click on these things, they're going to keep you top of mind. And then when it comes time for you to start promoting stuff, they're going to really see value in working with you. You're helpful. They remember who you are. So that is extremely useful. So 70-30. So you can post articles about things, updates in the community. You can also share tips. You know, this is, I think, one of the underutilized areas of all of real estate. Like, I don't see a whole lot of realtors do this, and I'd love to see more of it. But sharing kind of behind the scenes information, like information that most people might not see. Could be problems that you guys come up with that maybe that normal people don't know about that you have to overcome. Could be could be 5 mistakes to avoid when buying a new house. Could be 5 mistakes to look into and when to sell. Anything that you might think of that it's kind of hard because you're in it all the time, right? And like, you're like, oh, well, everyone should know this. Not everyone's going to know it. And so the more you can share about that, the better. What you can actually do is that when questions come up, and this is a really easy part, is that when you have clients who are asking questions, you're like, you know what, that's a really good question. Write that down, and that's stuff you can share with your audience. You can share it on Facebook, you can share it on LinkedIn, you can share it on Instagram. One of the best ways to share it is to create video. Video is extremely effective right now. It's going to be, and has been for a while, but everyone has a smartphone or a phone in some facet, and these are easy cameras. All you have to do is turn it on, point it to yourself, smile, and talk away. And then you get to upload it. And if it's challenging for you, anyone afraid of recording a video? Okay. Drink a couple beers or glasses of wine or shots of whiskey. You'd be fine, yeah. Yeah, that you might just fall asleep while you're doing it. But you know, it's going to be uncomfortable for you guys who feel uncomfortable about it. But the best way to overcome it is do it a couple times and get the hang of it. And then when you feel like you're a little bit more comfortable, it doesn't have to be perfect, but then just do it. And then post it. And if you're willing to take that action, I promise you, it's going to pay for itself. It works. It works. It works. It works. So if you
put it on YouTube and then link it over to Facebook?
No, actually, and that's a great question. So one of the audience members, guys, I'm going to turn this a little bit because I'm going to take a quick seat. One of the audience members asked if they should post it to YouTube. So when you create you do not need to post it to YouTube. You can. It's another great platform to be on. But actually, Facebook hosts its own videos. And you can also host your own videos on Instagram. Instagram's a little different. When you do it on your when you do it on just your regular page on Instagram, you get 60 seconds to post a video. 60 seconds. Doesn't mean you need to have, you don't have to have a video that is just 60 seconds. If it takes 3 minutes to explain the question, then go 3 minutes. But you can cut like 60 seconds worth of that and put it on Instagram and then tease them and say, hey, go up to my stories. You can post to your stories, or there's IGTV, which is the longer format now for Instagram. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, but we're not going to get into that specifics right now. That's not really necessary for what we're talking about today. But you can put that video on Instagram. You can put it on Facebook. Facebook, you could post a hour-long video, and it just might take a little bit of time to upload it. But that's what I recommend. Upload it to Facebook, upload it to Instagram, and then you can even upload it directly to LinkedIn now, too. So LinkedIn hosts the videos, and that's really effective, too. Like I said, LinkedIn and Instagram are going to be the best two places to get new clients. Facebook's going to just be a great place to kind of keep people informed and build up a community there. So 70-30, so content types, videos, articles. Yes, ma'am.
So the same information, that 70% that you're posting to Facebook, is that the same kind of thing that you should be posting to your LinkedIn also?
Correct, yes.
So basically, if you post to Facebook, just make the natural transition to also post to LinkedIn? Yeah, so great question. I'm just going to repeat it so everyone can hear it. The young lady in the audience asked if everything that we're posting, if you're doing 70-30 and you're posting it to Facebook, should you be posting the same stuff to LinkedIn? Absolutely. They're pretty much the same content. The platform's just a little bit different. But yeah, and Instagram's a whole different beast. You can still post the same thing you're posting on LinkedIn or Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook to Instagram. It's just more visually effective. Like you need a really good image, and then you can put it underneath on the comments for Instagram. But yes, you do. So what I always suggest is that, and this is going to get us into the system part of it, is that we talked about 2 times a day, right? 2 times a day on Facebook, 2 times a day on Instagram, and 2 times a day on LinkedIn. If we're doing 2 times a day, we're doing 7 days a week, that is 14 pieces of content. What I suggest is that you map out a week's worth of content, the beginning of the week, end of the week, however you want to do it. I like to do it on Sundays, kind of sit there, get everything together. There's a tool called Buffer. It's BUFFER.com. There's a free version of it that you can go on there, and it's a scheduling tool. You can schedule things with Instagram and LinkedIn. You can even do it with Facebook. I don't recommend doing it with Facebook. Facebook Pages has its own scheduling tool inside of there. It's better just to use that. So schedule that stuff out the week prior. You can spend time creating the content that you're going to put out there for the week, and then plug it into Buffer, and then plug it into Facebook, and then go about the rest of your week. And you don't have to worry about a single thing because everything will be posted automatically. What is it for Facebook?
It's Buffer is used specifically. I use it for LinkedIn and Instagram.
Right. And what about
Facebook? In Facebook Pages, they already have a scheduling tool inside of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So all this should be done on our phones, right? Like computers are not good for this kind of. I've noticed with Instagram, you can't even use it on.
Yeah, so for everyone in the online, the gentleman in the audience asked if doing everything on their phone versus on desktop, because Instagram is not really a desktop platform. You're right. It's not. You don't really see much, or well, you can see it, but you can't really do much. You can't post at all actually on there. But I do recommend when you use Buffer, use it on your desktop. You can use it for your mobile phone, but I find it easier to do it on there. And actually it does allow you to post an Instagram post using Buffer on your desktop or laptop. So do it that way. It just makes it a lot easier. Because what you could do is that, let's say you're going to create a story. It's not really an article or anything like that. You're just going to tell a short story. maybe a couple of paragraphs or something like that. Not long paragraphs either. You could just write it up in like a Google Doc and then copy it into Buffer, and then you have a Facebook post and you have a LinkedIn post. And then you can actually even do that for Instagram as well. So, and then like you could even go in there and let's say you have an article, you can go in there and drop like a line on your Google Doc, and you can have a whole week's worth of information right there, and all you have to do is copy and paste it over into Buffer. It's really up to you how you want to do that. That's the way I suggest it. But
the videos, how will you do the videos?
So the videos, then you have to upload it. You have to upload it into Buffer. They allow you to upload it, so you just have to have it on your computer. And then
You can upload it from your phone.
correct, yeah. So there's easy ways to do that. Some people have Dropbox, other people have Google Drive. Google Drive's free. You just go on there and you just upload it to your Drive, download it from your Drive on your desktop into your actual desktop, and then you can upload it to Buffer.
But you can't upload it from your phone to Buffer?
You could, yeah, but then you have to use the Buffer app specifically for that. So it's really up to you and how you want to do it. There's both ways. So you could do it from your phone, you could do it from your desktop. I prefer from the desktop. Just it's easier for me to kind of click over. I also do a lot of text messaging, so I'm trying to avoid carpal tunnel. So as much as I can get off my phone.
What about times a day to post?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So frequency of posts, kind of like times a day. Best times of the day are 10 and 6 p.m. 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. All right, so times of day is what we're discussing right now. So I'm going to ask what's the best time to post. Facebook and LinkedIn, or Facebook and Instagram, 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. LinkedIn's a little bit different. LinkedIn, you're most likely better, just depending on who you're going with, better off going like a little bit earlier, like 8 a.m. or even 7:30 a.m. And then posting at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The reason being is that most people are like, either they're early in the morning, they kind of check their LinkedIn, or maybe they get to the office kind of early and they check their LinkedIn. It's more of a business tool than it is looked at as a social media. Although there's a social aspect to it, it's just more looked at as a business tool than anything else. So the reason I say 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. for the other two is because they're very social. And being that they're very social, people typically get to work at 9 a.m. They spend about an hour doing something, and then like squirrel, and they look at Facebook or Instagram, and they start scrolling through it.
What time on LinkedIn?
8 like 7:30 or 8 a.m. to about 4 o'clock is the other one. That's good. There's really no like specific science behind that. It's just I find that to be the most effective times, just based on people's behavior. 6 p.m. typically people are getting home from work. They're relaxing. They're trying to avoid talking to their kids. I'm just joking. Yeah, so those are the best times to use. All right, let's talk about what time did we have? All right, it's 10:45. So let's switch on to actually talk about how to get some business from all this, right? Facebook, we talked about, and all this is we talk about the posting, right? The 70-30. Now we got to talk about how to promote yourself a little bit. Promoting yourself can be along the lines of show it, like if you have a sales or open house coming up, that's a great place to do it. If you also just want to go directly and say, hey, here's a quick tip. If you have any questions, contact me. That's typically what you should do anyway. But you can have more direct, like, I love working with these type of people. This is how I help people. Contact me. Like almost like a commercial in a sense that you want to promote yourself. Again, you don't need to post that all day, every day, but it should be something you post at least once or twice a week. Other things you can do is that you can create value-added pieces that get people to opt in if they don't already part of your, let's say, your email list. Does anyone use the email list? Okay, good. One person? Two? Okay. Anyone online use the email list? Put a yes in the chat box. If you don't, shame on you. No, I'm just joking. But no, seriously though, you're like, should I? Email is extremely effective, and it will be. Okay, great. We have a couple of yeses on there. Perfect. Love it. So you should absolutely use email. Biggest reason is that social media is fantastic, but you don't own social media. You can own your own email list. You control that. You can send it out. It's a great form of communication. And actually is one of the most intimate forms of communication right now, because if someone lets you in your inbox, they're saying, hey, listen, try to sell me. That's not really what they say, but it's kind of what they say. Because you can sell them easier with email than you could necessarily with social media. So definitely take advantage of email marketing if you guys have not. Best ways to grow a list is to convert people on social media into there by giving them a reason to do that. Could be a couple different things. I've found realtors who work with new builders in the area, and they have a whole list of new builds that are coming out that no one else knows about, or at least not the public does. And so that's a great incentive. It's like, hey, do you want this secret information? If you do, subscribe to my email list, and I'll send it to you directly. And actually, if you have a marketing automation tool, you can actually send that out automatically. So it could just be someone goes out, fills out a form, they hit their information, and then that email is sent directly to them. So you don't have to do anything except just wait for people to do it and to promote it. So that's a great way of promoting yourself and building up a list. That list also can be used if you ever want to get into Facebook advertising or LinkedIn or anything really. You can actually upload your email list and target those people. So if, let's say, you had a promotion or something you were promoting in your email, you could also target that same email on Facebook, or the same group of people on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. It's extremely effective. It's what they call like retargeting, is kind of what is the term. How do you what?
Can you repeat that?
Sure, yeah. So if you have an email list, the gentleman just asked me to repeat it. If you have an email list and you build up an email list, it just has to be a minimum of 100 people, but you can upload it to Facebook, and you can use it to create an advertisement around that. Let's say you have a promotion, you send out an email and say, hey, we have this great deal going on. You should contact us, this property, blah, 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 whatever it is. And then you can have that same promotion, follow them around on Facebook, Instagram, even LinkedIn if you want to. You just have to have the email list. So it's really effective. That's why I always tell agents to collect all data. Collect everyone that you've talked to, keep their information.
So you can upload it to Instagram?
Yeah, so Instagram is, from an advertising perspective, it is it's run under Facebook advertisements. So you can create a Instagram ad by doing under Facebook advertisements. That's, again, a whole nother conversation. I have like a whole nother class on the advertising side. So, all right, so let's go back into the promotion side. So how to get business. Another great way is that now if you have a niche that you're going after, you can be very proactive both on Instagram and on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, you can search. It's mostly going to be business related. So maybe you say you go after people who work at Dell, or you go after people who work at the startups in Austin. You can search for those type of demographics. Maybe you work really well with attorneys. You know, if you have a profession, that is a great demographic to focus in on LinkedIn. You go into LinkedIn, and I'm going to switch over so you guys can see my screen. So we go over to LinkedIn, and we could put in, say, attorney. Or you know what? Here, let's do owner. We put in owner, and we type that. We go click on owner and people, and you're going to start to see that there's up at the top. There's 18.9 million results that come out of that. What we want to focus in on this is like the second and third degree connections, and then we also want to filter down to your local area, so like Austin, Texas. And then you'll see that it went from 18.9 million to 91,000. So it's a lot more manageable. But when you get to that point, you can start looking at these people and say, all right, this person owns this person owns that. And what you can actually do is you can take a look at the profiles a little bit. But once you get to that point, you say, hey, you know what? This person looks fantastic. She looks like she could be a good fit. Depending on how your if you have like a premium version, you can do a little bit more, but you could simply just hit the connect, and always add a note. So you can say hi and add the person's name, Regina. We don't know each other, but we share a couple connections. And I'm a local realtor in the area, and you got to have some sort of value you can provide for it. So like I do a lot of networking. Perhaps there's a way we can network together, this and that. And this is also a great platform, not just going after customers, but going after strategic partners. So anybody that might work with your demographic, these are also a great platform to find people. So you type in that message, you send the invitation. I always say create a call to action in that invitation note, saying that, hey, let's grab a cup of coffee in the next week or so, or would you be open to an introductory phone call, stuff like that. And then you hit send, and then you wait for them to connect. A lot of times people connect and then they won't respond, and then you can just follow up with a message. There's a tool that you can use that's automated to do a lot of this, but there's a price tag to it. It's about $79 a month, and it's called Orca, and you can pay for it if you want to. It's a great tool. And what you can do with it is actually you can set up the parameters of who you want to look and go after, and you have multiple campaigns, and then you can actually create your messages, and then it sends out and automatically will create like this drip campaign essentially. It's really, really effective. So that is, as far as being proactive, this is the best way to do it. I've built businesses off of doing stuff like this. It's really, really, it's a little time consuming, but if you're looking to grow your business, this is a great way of doing it.
So why did you pick owners?
You can pick anyone you want, but owners.
I like the idea of attorneys. Better. Divorce attorneys.
Perfect.
Probate.
Yeah. So the gentleman asked why I picked owners, and I was just using a demographic to pick. But if we wanted to do attorneys, you could do attorneys too. You pretty much pick whatever you want. You can go in there and pick attorneys. You can pick, again, if whatever your niche is, and who might be working with them as well, is a great person to reach out to. So that's pretty straightforward. It's easy. You just have to create a really simple message to go ahead with that. What I also, when it comes to Instagram's a little bit different. I'm going to stop sharing my screen real quick just so you can see this a little bit better. But if we go into Instagram, one thing you could do in Instagram is actually you can search. You can go at the bottom and you can search for people down there. And so, and not just search for people, but you can search by hashtags and even places too, so locations. So let's say you were covering like Leander, you could type in hashtag Leander, and it would pull up everybody who has posted and tagged hashtag Leander in there. So then you can start to go in there and search through people. My phone's kind of not working. Oh, there we go. There's Leander, Texas. There's different options. I usually like to go with the one that's a little bit bigger. Leander is just bigger. What you can do is you find these hashtags. You can actually follow the hashtags now. And so you can just go on there and click follow, and then that'll post up in your newsfeed. But what you do is that you start to search through these posts, and you can say, hey, you can see someone like posted something about their family, or about like here's a perfect one. Someone already posted something about closing day. So that's one. You might not want to follow that one, but there's other things you could start to do and look at it, and you could just hit, you could like the picture and then comment on it, and then that's a great way to starting to build up recognition. People usually start to follow you that way, and then if you find there's an opportunity, you can actually, what the kids call is they slide into their DMs. So DMs is direct message. You can actually direct message people in there, and you don't have to be connected. It's better if you are connected, just because they might not see that message until they search for it, because it's more like it says Brandon's requesting to contact you, versus just seeing that message directly. So if you can connect with them, great. great. If not, you can still send them a message, and then you can simply ask them, hey, you know what, I'm a realtor in the area, was wondering if you need a realtor. Maybe not so direct, but it could be other things like if you have events going on, or maybe you have something you want to give away, or you're doing something in the community, stuff like that. That's a great way of just finding new people, bringing them in, like what we call as a sales funnel, kind of the top of the funnel, and then you can work them different ways. So if you have events or anything along those lines, these are great places to find new people to go out and talk to them. And then you can also be really direct and too, and be like, hey, I'm a realtor. If you need anything in the area or you have any questions, let me know. But most times that doesn't work. So just being honest, I get that stuff all the time. And I'm just like, I actually try to turn the wheels and be like, hey, I can help you get more responses out of this.
Which tool were you talking about?
That was just Instagram.
And what were the hashtags you searched?
So you can do a hashtag, like, especially because Instagram is international, I suggest starting at a location. So like Austin, Texas, or Cedar Park, or Pflugerville.
How do you do that?
So at the bottom of Instagram, there is this little button. Go in there and you type in Leander at the top, and then you hit enter, or you find the one that you're looking for, you hit it, and then it's going to pull it up for you. All right. Let me see. Let me make sure I go through this real quickly. Do's and don'ts. Do's, make sure you post value. Make it personable too. Like I said, post some stuff of like hobbies that you like. That's also good too, both, especially with like Instagram. If you post some of the stuff that you have hobbies. I talked to this one woman. She was here for last class last month, and she's like, I don't know social media and I don't know what to post. And I said, well, tell me a little bit about yourself. And she's like on a board somewhere. She loves to go skiing. I was like, you are very interesting. Just share all that. Like, and because it's amazing, like if you're on boards or you do like community aspects, it's great stuff to share, gloat a little bit. People like to see that. If you have hobbies, could be really anything, gardening, football, whatever, and you post stuff about that. Again, these are things that people can relate to. It builds up a commonality. Those are really important, and also makes you human. So those are definitely do's. Don'ts, I would say the biggest don't is don't promote yourself all the time. That's the biggest don't. If you don't post nudes unless you're trying to be an Instagram model. But besides that, really just don't promote yourself that much or too often, and you'll be fine. So that's the biggest don'ts. Demographics when it comes to Facebook ads. When it comes to Facebook ads, you can actually pick any demographic you want. There's a lot of interest in the back, but Facebook has cracked down quite a bit to say you need to stay within the fair, especially if you're a realtor and they identify that, because they could check by your text and your ad that you're going to be more on the housing area. So they are regulating more and more with that. So you have to be very careful in how targeted your ads are. Like one thing you cannot do is you cannot target people by their income. Facebook allows you to do it, they changed it a little bit, but do not do it. It won't get approved. Sometimes if you target just one gender, that can also be a problem with Facebook because they try to stick with the Fair Housing Act. So you gotta be careful with that. But beyond that, you can pick interests. Again, knowing your demographic, like for example, if you like to work with more affluent people, you don't have to go by the amount of money, but hobbies that a lot of affluent people have might be golf, might be tennis, might be yachting. They have all of that on Facebook. You can pick that. Basically what they're going to do is identify any pages those people like, which a lot of people like those pages if they're into it, and then they're going to find those people and you'll get in front of them. So it helps. That's about as much I can cover for right now. We went over content types. Okay, profiles versus pages. Profile is your personal profile on Facebook. pages is a business page. The reason why you want a business page is that you can promote on a business page. You can do whatever you want on a business page. You get analytics on business pages. You can see what people are doing, the insights, but also you get to advertise with Facebook pages. That's also key. Don't focus too much on the likes, more on the engagements. So if you have 100 likes, that's perfectly fine, as long as 90 out of those 100 people are engaging with you. That's what you're looking for. The more people you can get engagements with, the better. Profile, again, we talked about this a little bit before, but I'll just emphasize, is that profiles is really strictly more personal. Maybe every 5 posts you put something on there business related, but strictly keep that mostly personal. Now, if you want to update it a couple times and say, hey, you know, things that I find some realtors that do, and they do a good job of this, and it's kind of like, it's not quite business related, but it is. It's like, you know, they take a picture of themselves and they say, hey, you know what, I'm really excited because I was able to close on this house today, or we were able to sell this house. They post a sign of their sold sign in front of the house, and they're saying, I'm really excited because we were able to close this house in 3 days. It's not like, it's almost like an indirect, because they're happy about it. It's business related, but at the same time, it's not saying, hey, I'll sell your house in this time. It's just like, I'm happy. So those are kind of good, subtle, indirect ways of posting kind of business stuff on there too. Groups we didn't get really too much into, but there are both groups on Facebook and groups on LinkedIn. And I highly recommend that you spend some time in those groups. There could be local groups. There could be like, even like neighborhoods have groups. I know my housing area has a neighborhood group that everyone goes in there. Nextdoor is another great platform for anyone that spends some time on there. You got to be kind of careful what you post on there, though. Yes, ma'am.
Avoid getting into arguments. I see that on my neighborhoods.
Okay. So that,
with each other.
yeah.
Don't engage in that, right?
That's another don't I like to say, is that don't argue with people. If they want to argue with you, let them do that and just go the higher road. Also, another don'ts is like try to stick away from political stuff. Being that you're in real estate, you got to work with everybody. And so the less you know about them, the less they know about you from a political standpoint, it works out great, especially at this current climate of everything. Groups, though, there's groups pretty much for everything out there. But again, when you want to focus on local areas, focus on things in your neighborhoods, in the Austin area, in your niches, these are all great platforms. And then, but when you join groups, don't join a bunch of them, just join a couple that you can participate in, because that participation part is really important. If you're a member of 25 groups, that's fantastic, but you're not going to be able to participate in all 25. So just find a couple you can kind of weave some out and say, you know what, I'm just going to focus on these 2 for right now. But they're really good. And I find them more effective on Facebook now. Groups on LinkedIn used to be a lot really good, but they're kind of falling off. They're more spamming now than everything else. Cost effectiveness. So what I suggest is that you identify, there's 3 platforms, right, that we talked about today: LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Find the one that you really want to focus most of your time on, and then spend your time on there. The other 3 you can, or the other 2 you can actually post to that. Being that we talked about the system and posting on there is great. You can do that automatically. It takes maybe an hour of your time a week. But as far as engagement goes, pick one platform. If you're looking to get new clients, maybe spend some more time on LinkedIn or Instagram, or test Instagram versus LinkedIn, see which one works best for you, and then put your time towards that one. I suggest Instagram's a really good place to do that. It's still a fantastic place to post, and it hasn't changed a lot from where it was before, so Facebook hasn't really mucked it up yet, but I'm assuming it's going to get to that point soon. Facebook, again, is worthwhile to spend some time, but it's not going to be necessarily where you acquire new clients. So just mostly focus in on posting, putting good information out there, and then following up with people that you might already be in contact with and asking for referrals. So cost effectiveness. So that's that. Does anyone have any questions before we, because I do want to share one quick thing with you guys too off the slides, but does anyone have any questions online? This goes for you guys too. Do you guys have any questions before we kind of switch over? Any questions I didn't answer for you guys? Good? Okay. Dan, can you give me like one more minute?
You bet.
Thanks, buddy. Okay, looks like everyone is good online. So let me just share the screen real quick. So this is something I actually, so we talked about this, how to effectively use social media, get into it, how to get business from social media organically, how to use the system. We got into this. So who wants more business? Anyone want more business? Woo, yeah, yeah. All right, so, and with that, Toki, can I share with you guys how I can help with that? Okay, fantastic, thank you. I appreciate it. So as I was sharing with you before, I've set up, and we've been doing this for well over a year now, but I have an online training portal. So everything's like video-based. It walks you through a lot of what we discussed today. We go into a lot more detail as far as like how to do, what to do, when to do it, like pretty much taking out any questions you might have, and we give you the systems to do it. All you have to do is follow those processes and you get them up and running. We currently have a Facebook and Instagram advertising course called Lead Generation. It's both for buyers and sellers. It gets really, really good results. We have, that's why like Chris, who actually introduced me to Darren, that's how we started working together over a year ago. He is still rocking and rolling with his ads and doing really well. But we're going to be launching the social media part of this. So everything we talked about today, plus probably 100 times more, is going to be on there, and it's going to help you out. But what I decided to do, and this is because this really means a lot to me, is that, again, the classes mean everything to me. We're opening this up as a membership. So it's going to be like a monthly membership. It's $99, starts off at $99 a month. You will get every class that we possibly have, including new ones that we roll out with. But 50% of that is going to be donated to a local charity. And this, for the next month or so, we're going to do, probably the next 2 months, we're going to be raising money for a local charity in Leander called Open My World. And oh, that's awesome. Fantastic. So if you guys don't know anything about Open My World, I've been volunteering with them and raising money for them for 3 years. They provide equine therapy to special needs children and also veterans. And so I've seen personally, being a volunteer, the effectiveness that this therapy has on the kids. One kid, this is not her, this is Rosario. She's fantastic.